Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, whenever you're watching this video. It's Charlie Wall coming at you from Wales Next to the Sea today, and I am going to be discussing my question of the week this week, which was from someone in the group saying, I don't love myself, what can I do? So if you've come in or you're watching, please say hello, because I'm going to just share this with my group. So just give me a sec. Hi, Lucy. I love that my bestie always shows up. It's me and her talking. Okay, so the question, I don't love myself, what can I do? Is something that I hear all the time in various different forms. And so I just wanted to firstly say, like, how many of you feel like that? Because one of the reasons why I set up my Facebook community, which is called She Connects, I've linked to it in the bio, in the introduction, is because I wanted women to get a sense of that they're not alone. And I know from my own experience, when I have felt like I didn't love myself and acted out in various forms, which I'll go into a bit more, I felt alone and I felt separated and I felt ashamed of my behaviours that I was doing because I didn't love myself. And so I just want to try and point you to a different direction, and understanding that I've learned over the last sort of 18 months, and the understanding with which I now teach and work with my clients, which is called the 3 Principles, if you want to Google that. And so, yeah, like the fundamental message that I'm always talking about is that you're not alone, and we all experience these things, and it can be very difficult and it can be very isolating, and we feel that, if we're not loving ourselves, we try and look for ways to fix that, and we're usually looking outside of ourselves to fix that. And I spent years doing that, years looking outside of myself, or thinking if I just changed the way I looked, if I just changed the way that I acted, if I changed my name from Charlotte to Charlie, all of these things would mean that I might be more worthy, more lovable. But it was coming from a place of a deep lack of self-worth and low self-esteem and not loving myself. And of course, when we don't love ourselves in that way, it kind of comes out sideways, and our behavior is affected. So the lady in question had sort of said, I don't love myself, what can I do? But rather than giving you like a list of tools or strategies to do, I want to just invite you to look somewhere different, which is just kind of beyond all of that thinking, and go to the source of you, the source of who you truly are. Because I know from my own experience, when I have looked elsewhere, or looked and done tools and given myself loads of things to do, it's just kind of added to my stress, and I haven't done it, and then I've beaten myself up, and there's been judgment over that. So if you think about it, like, there's poison in the river, like downstream. If you think about it like that, there's poison in the river, and you need to find the source of the poison. Well, you don't start looking where the poison actually is. You look kind of to where the source is, where the source of the poison is. So what I want to invite you to do is, rather than kind of look like, what do I need to fix to be lovable, we want to look at our thinking and our mindset. I hate that word. I didn't want to use that word, but to kind of go to the source, because we're always feeling our thinking in any given moment. That's my understanding. That's the teachings of the 3 principles. We're always feeling our thinking. So if I use me as an example, I would, hi Jeanette, if you've come in, say hi. And if you're watching this later, please also say hi. I'm not sure if I can see the comments, but anyway, it'd be just lovely to have you say hi anyway. So where was I? Yeah, so going to the source is where we want to be looking. The example I just used is, you have a poison in the river, you don't kind of go to the poison, you look for the source of the poison. And I want to point you, rather than going downstream, I want to point you upstream. I want to point you to where the source of this unhappiness is, or the source of the belief that you're not good enough, that you're not lovable, that you're not worthy. And that's coming from your thinking. And your thinking it comes and goes. It comes and goes in and out. So you want to think about like your light, your source light, your energy, the essence of who you are is like the sunshine. It's always there. It's always there. It's the light that you see in the people that you love, whether they see that or not. It's always there. Now, sometimes the clouds come and cover the sun, but we know the source, the sun, is still there, even if we can't see it, because flowers will grow up and point towards the light. You know, like these magical things happen. So your soul is like the sun, and sometimes clouds come across, and we will hold on. So clouds being like a thought, okay? So the thought is, I don't love myself. And we hold on to that thought, and then we feel that thought in the moment. We feel that thought in the moment. Hi Rachel, hi Jeanette. Thank you for saying hi. And so if I have the thought, right, which is coming, like, we don't know where our thoughts come from. And sometimes we'll have a thought and they'll pass through. So an example is, you and I might be walking down the street together, and we see someone with a dog, and I think to myself, that's a big dog. And you think to yourself, that's a beautiful dog. And then we both walk on, and we might comment about the dog, and then we keep walking and the thought is gone. And we're not really feeling that thought because we don't have a story attached to that thought, right? But if you're walking along and you see a big dog and you're scared of dogs, you'll hold on to that thought, oh my God, that's a big dog. And you'll act on the thought that that's a big dog, and you'll be feeling your thinking, which is, I'm scared of dogs. I hope that makes sense. So in the sense of the thought, I don't love myself, you want to be understanding that what you're doing is you're giving that thought life and energy, and then you're feeling all that through you. And what we need to point to, or what I'm going to be pointing you to, and the work that I do with my clients, is that you're way, 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 way more than you're thinking. That's just your personal thinking that comes and goes. It's always moving. We can hang on to those clouds or not, okay? But there's something much, much, much deeper there, which is you, the essence of who you are. Hi, Natalie. A Friday date. There's something magical. There's something deeper. There's something beautiful. There's something much, much more about you than your thoughts. So, you know, what I want you to know is that when we feel like, I don't love myself, what can I do? It's that question itself is pointing to, there's something to do. You know, I need a tool. I need a plan. I need something. I need something to fix this. And what I'm suggesting, there's flies everywhere. They just won't go, these flies. Is anyone else having fly issues? Or is it just I smell? Maybe it's just in North Norfolk, but God, these flies. Anyway, so what we'll do if we don't love ourselves is that our behavior will reflect that. Yeah? So for me, I used to drink heavily. And when I say heavily, like that's obviously my own personal experience of heavily. It might be a bottle of wine. Hi, Pope. Lovely to see you. It might be a bottle of wine at night. It might not have been that much. It might have been more at the weekend. I would over-exercise, under-eat, face pick, all of these behaviours that I was trying to do to fix myself. And then I would judge myself for those behaviours, and I would feel even more unworthy for those behaviours. And the cycle would kind of continue. And I'd always be feeling my thinking, which is I'm not good enough. I don't love myself. I'm ugly. And I'd get caught up in that. And then I'd pick, that would be one tool. And then I'd, drink or whatever it was. Like we're all the same. We're all human beings living this, Pope. No, they were dive bombing my face. Flygate. I know, Flygate. God, what is it with these flies? Flygate, Pope, you're funny. When I started to look at the source, because I could rabbit on about, my stuff. When I started to look at the source, I was very lucky to meet my coach, Jamie Smart. He teaches the 3 principles, which was brought into the world by Sid Banks. I now teach from this understanding. When I started to look at the source, that I was always only ever feeling my thinking, which means that I'm somewhat in control of how I respond to that. So if I believe I'm unlovable, I can pick my face or drink or all of those things, which I'm guessing a lot of us can resonate with, or I can see it as a thought and not attach any judgment to that and let it go. Like a cloud. So it can either be like a big, fat, thick, lingering black cloud, or it can be like a thought, a little white wispy cloud that just passes by. I think it's like it's understanding that thoughts are changeable, feelings are like all the thoughts, everything is kind of moving to us. And that's why I don't want to kind of sit here and say there's something to do. Like I don't love myself, what can I do? When I work with my clients, the people that do my programs, it's all about me pointing them to, and these videos as well, these videos that I do every week, is pointing you to something beyond who you think you are. Now, you are not your thoughts. You are not your body. You are the one experiencing those thoughts and your body. And the women I work with tend to have chronic self-esteem related to how they think they look. And these thoughts are just illusions. They're illusions. They don't mean anything. I know it feels very real because I've been there, and I'm 46 now, and it's taken me years and years to see something different, hear something different, and see those behaviors for what they were, which was I was always trying to get myself back to a place of feeling better, because I know that you all have within you innate well-being, innate mental health, love, wisdom. I know you've got it all in there. And when you start to let go of these thoughts and see them for what they are, which is impersonal, illusions, not true, that frees up some space. It just frees up some space to let something else in, which is love, understanding, compassion, kindness. I was speaking to one of my one-to-one clients earlier, and she's seen some stuff that has it's had a huge impact on her life and the way she treats herself and what she sees. And you know, this plays out in all areas of life, like how we interact with others, our relationships, just all sorts of stuff. So I don't love myself, you know, that's huge because it just takes up so much space in our mind, because the behaviors then that we do to try and manage that take up time and space. You know, when I was drinking, you know, the whole night would be gone, and then the next day I'd be in a sort of brain fog, and I couldn't be bothered to do anything. And so it takes up space, and then the thinking is, I'm such a bad person because I did this behavior, whatever. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of pointing you to. And I wanted to give you an example of like thought. You know, like you and I, we could be in circumstances. So I wanted to just sort of point you towards the source, and this is a good example, and I'm sure one that you can all perhaps resonate with, which was my brother's funeral, which was very traumatic for me, and I was 21 years old. And I remember after the funeral feeling kind of devastated, sad, numb. I was 21, so just lots and lots of things. But then a friend came and made me laugh. And it felt like in one moment I was incredibly sad, and the next moment I was happy. And I remember feeling guilty for a long time about that. But what I wanted to point you to there is that we can feel angry and sad one moment and happy in another moment, and nothing on the outside has changed. It's simply a change in my thinking on the inside in that moment. So whilst that was a sad event, of course, devastating, tragic, all of those things, there were moments within that I also experienced happiness, and I also experienced love, and I also experienced kindness and compassion and community and support and well-being. But for a long time I attached to the idea that I really needed to be sad, and I shouldn't laugh, and but now I can kind of look back at that young me and feel kindness and compassion, and then there's an understanding that actually you were feeling your thinking in the moment. So someone made you laugh, and of course you laughed spontaneously because that was the thought and you were feeling it in that moment. And then of course I felt guilty, so then I started feeling guilt, you know, wearing my coach says guilt goggles, or happy, you know, your feelings just in any moment, it's always coming from a thought first. That's the source of it all. I wanted to use that example because it's a powerful example, and a lot of us will have experienced grief or tragedy, you know, horrific challenges in our lives, where we can possibly look back and think, actually there were moments in that where I was able to laugh. That doesn't mean that there's not a hole in your heart. You know, that doesn't mean that you don't feel the loss. It just means that there's an understanding that there's something way beyond what our current level of understanding in psychology is, that there's much more to it, and that in any given moment you're only ever feeling your thinking. So to the woman that said, I don't love myself, what can I do? I want to point you into the direction of, you are already love. That's who we all are. And there's nothing for you to do except go to the source, which is your thoughts, and know that they are not who you are. So I seen some people joined, and they're probably thinking, what is she on about? That will have no that won't make any sense if you've just come in. So maybe, hopefully, you maybe watch it back later because I see Sarah's coming, Nikki's coming. Thank you for joining me. If you want to know more, I'm really happy to talk to you one-to-one. I've put the link up to book an appointment with me. I love the work that I do with my one-to-one clients, and I love the impact, and like nothing that I'm doing is giving them the impact. It's all coming from them. I'm just pointing them upstream, right? That's all I'm doing. It's all coming from them. There'll be nothing that I can say to you that will make any difference because it's all coming from you. It's all your inner wisdom. If you want to come into my group, I've linked that above. We've also just started a menopause group because there's a lot of women of all ages who are experiencing menopausal symptoms. So we've got another group for that. If you want to know about that, let me know and I'll put that in. And then Jackie's just come in, and Jackie's like a mentor of mine. So I'm like, oh God, I'm feeling my thinking now. Right. On that note, while she blushes and feels her thinking, I will. Oh, hi, Gary. I will come back to you next week, and I'm interviewing Tanith Lee, Mrs. Menopause, and we're going to do that live. And I've got some questions from all the girls. And if you're in my group, there's a place for you to leave the questions to ask her. And have a great rest of your week and a lovely weekend. And I will talk to you soon. You're all amazing. Have a great day. Lots of love. Bye.